Right, so we are out today with the Sonubaits cameras and we are going to undertake a brand new series that Jake has sort of laid down the challenge for me. And what it's all about is that I definitely feel I'm only, 2 or 3 months into being with Sonubaits, and I still need a big understanding of the baits. I haven't played with 3/4 of what's on the product list at the minute. I still haven't had a go of. So what this is all going to be about is us travelling to venues up and down the country. We're going to go out once a month, all to these different venues, and Jake is going to give me a bit of a mystery bucket with some random products, and what I've got to do is come, fish me peg in the best way that I possibly can with the baits that he gives me, and just see if we can make the most out of the baits, and I can give you my honest opinion at the end of the day, what I feel are good for and all that sort of thing. So that's what we're going with today. We are at the beautiful Barston Lakes, which it's a bit of a treat, this one, to be fair. I'm really impressed with him giving me this one as the first one to come and have a go at. And I've got my bucket here ready to go. So we're going to have a little nose. And May already tried to have a sneaky look at this, but he naffed me right off. And I just want to see what we've got. So obviously we're at Barston, so Jake's going to suit it to pretty much for that sort of venue. He's going to look after me. He's not going to give me a big bucket of cat food or anything like that. If we go to the Gloucester Canal, he's going to look after me with the right sort of bait for the right side of venue. And that is what we've got today. We have got, first one up, we've got some 2 milli, which they're going to be my method feeder, of course, with the Pro Feed pellets. Standard Barston sort of fishing. Do you know what I mean? The most popular methods here are feeders and wagglers and bombs. Typical carp fishing, so they're going to be perfect for me feeder fishing. To accompany that, we've got some nice smelly stuff. Oh, he's giving me a binoff as well. Thank you. At least everything's going to smell lovely. With some baits, what have we got? He's giving me sinking ones. He's giving me sinking ones as well. So I'm happy with sinking bandems. That is the standard way you're going to fish at Barston. I mean, to begin with, we're going to have on the pegs that we're on, we're sat on just on the point at Barston. We're on the iffy pegs, if you like. We're not on the carp epicenter around the early numbers or the teens or 1, 2, 4. It's a catch a couple on the feeder early and then fish for other fish, which is what today is all going to be about. Which the second little bit of bait, which is something, these are what have got me interested more than anything. Jake's been talking about them for quite a while, and these are a 1 milli Pro Feed pellet, which are very, very different to anything else on the market. They're going to be perfect for skimmers, in that we've had a sniff of them, and they're like old school pellets. The pellets used to be really good and really nasty and oily, and just the fish used to love them. That is what we're going with these. They're a really, really high protein, amazing pellet for pulling fish in a tiny size, in 1 mil, so that's going to be a bit different. So today they're going to be my, almost like a ground bait substitute I'm going to go with. And I'm going to have my long line that I'm going to have a quick chuck on, and then my main line is going to be with these bad boys, just fish for skimmers. So the skimmer fishing at Barston it's second to none. It's probably the best skimmer venue in the country, if I'm honest. There's a hell of a lot of fish to be caught. They're going to be my main bait for that. He's given me some, he's got banoffee corn as well. I thought that was F1 corn. He's given me a posh banoffee corn, so that's going to smell nice. I'm going to be right sweet. I'm going to be diabetic by the time I go home with all this, aren't I? There's that much sugar. And lastly, some banoffee again. We're going on a right theme today, Jakey. And he's given me some 6 mils that we can have a little play with them. I can make them a little bit softer. So the nice, simple bait selection that he's given me, give me 2 options. And what today's going to be about is me making the most of these 2 options and just showing you what we can actually do with such a limited selection of bait that I've not had to rock up to the tackle shop and buy casters and maggots and worms and everything else. I want to show just at this type of venue that is a pellety based type venue, just what's achievable with such a small amount of bait, and hopefully we can go home with a right slimy net full of skimmers at the end of it. But we'll get them prepped and then we'll see how we get on. Right, so bait is all prepped and we are ready to go, but I feel like I've got nothing. I'm not going to catch loads on this. I feel like it's hardly any bait, but joking aside, there's plenty for what we need for catching a mega weight at these 2 venues, these type of venues. So what I've got, so firstly, obviously I've done my 2 mils. They're going to be my starting point. Yeah, I'm going to wang a feeder out there. I've had a little shout at myself. I was going to chuck it, like proper fling it, but there's no point at Barston anymore. They're saying that there's no point down this end of Barston anymore, because you find that that many 8mm pellets get fed, even though we haven't got any. That's the line to feed, so that is where I'm going to start, on the 8mm pellets with a big owl feeder. So I'm putting loads and loads of bait in with these, with the 2mm. Soften, not for long, done the usual with them, soften them for probably about a minute and a half, then take them out, but I squeeze them off so there's no water on them. They've gone lovely now for me feeder. They're going to be just right with a little banoffee band on a spike on them. However, that's not going to be my main part of the day. I mean, we're at Barston. I've not come here to catch a couple of carp. I want to catch £1 billion of skimmers today. So the actual carp fishing, or the ledgering to start with, is just going to be while I let my pole line settle. So I'm going to feed one pole line. So maybe I should be feeding two, but I'm not getting it. I'm just going to feed one at 13 metres. And that's going to be a bit of a technical bit today. I definitely feel that over the years I've had a bit of an edge at Barston skimmer fishing. Not for a while, I've been here for a bit, but we've had a few decent results here fishing for skimmers, and how important the rigs are is massive. They don't behave like skimmers in here, they behave like F1s or roach, that they like feeding through the water and in different ways, so the rigs are going to incorporate into that. And that's where my second bit of baits come from, and with these beauties, they're right weird. I mean, it's the first time I've had to play with these myself, first time Jake's brought me a bag to actually have a look at. There's definitely a lot of use to them. I mean, a 1mm pellet isn't something I've ever used before, but they're right weird. They seem really good for a good binding agent. So if I wanted them as a feeder, or to use on a feeder, they definitely make my feeder really sticky, and I'll be able to squeeze it stupidly hard, and it's going to break down. So whether that'll be right for catching carp or not, I don't know. I mean, but as a use for different venues for F1s or not, who knows what they might come in handy for. But today, they're my ground bait substitute. I mean, on my skimmer line, where I want to catch on corn because I want to be selective, but I want to get them there in the first place. So what I'm going to do is feed quite a few of these little micros, which, you know what I mean, a little ball like that, which probably got about 37 million in. They're that small, but it's going to be my ground bait substitute to put a load of bait on the deck, and then I'm going to fish corn over the top of that and hopefully catch a load. So nice and simple fishing, but hopefully just with that little bit of bait that we've got, we can still do a lot of different things, and on here catch a hell of a lot of fish with such a tiny limited amount of bait. But now I'm going to wang that feeder out. In fact, I'm not. I'm going to feed my pole line first, get a little bit of bait there, say have 5 chucks on the feeder in half an hour, and see how we do from there. So feeding of the peg, and of course I've got to put some bait in on my pole line first, because they ain't going to be there yet. Do you know what I mean? It's not your typical little commercial where the fish are always in front of you, this place. There's a massive amount of fish, but we need to give them a big dinner plate to feed on. So unlike most of me fishing, I'm going to give them a big pot to start with. So what I'm going to give them some of the 2mm, just so I've got a little bit of bait in my peg that's a bit bigger. I'm going to put them a great big tub, or a great big lump of the little ones, of the 1mm. I'm not going to put them in a ball. Yeah, I don't want a ball to just go down and sit. It's quite silty, so I don't want that to happen. I'm almost feeding them loose, but they're just packed in my cup there nicely, and I'm going to feed a big handful of corn. I mean, probably about 30 pieces of corn, but I'm going to top up that with a lot of corn over the day. That's going to get quite a bit of corn over the top. I'll give that a few more. So I'm giving them a full cup, you know what I mean? Not, for me, it's about 3 million tons of bait, but for here, not a lot of bait. They're just going to get that one pot, because I do want to catch on it quite quick. So by putting that pot in, hopefully after half an hour I'll be able to go on it. I might top it up with a little bit of corn throughout, but hopefully I'll be able to go on that quite quickly and get bites, because there's not too much bait in my peg. And I'm going to feed it right on my join of my pole. So I've still got my dolly butt behind me if I need to go a little bit further. I'm just going to spread that out there and say, I know I've just gone slightly to the left of my marker, because Barston is the most towy venue on the planet. So I know all my bait's going to end up going that way. It's going to back up on itself, and that's where my rig's going to go. So I'm happy that if I put that just to the left of my marker, I can almost not run it through, but I can put my rig in that way and let it go into the bait. And that should keep it there. Lovely. So with that done, we're going to wang feeder out. And so I've not gone big and angry and big stupid kit that's Barston sort of synonymous for. I've just gone nice. I've just gone with a pokey 11-foot feeder rod that I can pull a bit with. It's not a soft bomb rod type thing. And I'm just going to chuck it over the 8mm sort of thing. So what? 30 metres in it, 30, 35 metres. And we're going to load it, say not too many on the bottom layer, after some sneaky underwater videos that we've watched that are very, very good. And we're going to band them right in the middle of it. So I've talked about this a lot. I'm a big fan that Jakey's brought me the sinking ones and not wafters. Because for me, I've just got, for certain types of fishing, for this type of fishing, what I'm going to do today, I'm not a fan of wafters. I like the heavy ones. I mean, I like them sinking, staying where I want them. They don't move off my pile, and hopefully, because of the type of feeder we got on, nice big old pile, that's going to have a lump of pellets with me bait on top, give me the best chance of a bite. I say we're not going to chuck it far either. So we're just going, let me pull that in way, where am I going? That big dead tree. We're just going sort of 30 metres. So I'm not proper wanging it. We're just going there, nice. And I'm going to have really regular casts. Yeah, I'm not doing the big hill, sit and wait, possibly not get a bite in the first half hour because I have 2 casts. In half an hour I'm going to have, I might have 6 casts, I might have 5-minute casts, I might have even quicker, I might have 4-minute casts. Just so I know I'm getting a bit of bait in my peg for later if I need to go on it. Plus, we're sat on our own, we're pleasure fishing, so why not? Yeah, there's a good chance that we can catch a lot of fish on that day, so by getting a load of bait in on it, there's a chance we'll have an arrival. I mean, I'm not just after one fish, it'd be nice to catch quite a few fish, and I've got plenty of bait there. I've probably got 1.5 pints, 2 pints of the 2 mils, so I've got plenty of bait to feed. I may even sacrifice a pint of them and half pint of corn and bosh it with a big feeder and put a load of bait in there shortly, but we'll see how this evolves. I'm saying all this, I'm just going to fish with skimmers all day. We're going to catch a load of them, but for now I'm going to have a nice half hour just sat having these nice patient casts, see if I catch a couple of bonusy fish, but I do want a couple of pulls. It'd be nice to catch a couple, and then we're going to focus on them skimmers. I don't think I'm going to feed that skimmers in the meantime. I think I'll leave me pole line for half an hour and see what happens, but I might change my mind. If I start getting lots of indications on this and it feels like lots of fish are feeding, I may top that pole up before we go on it, but suck it and see, I think the word is. So the feeder fishing, it ain't happening. Oh my God, there's so many skimmers in this place now. I've had 6 chucks and I've had 6 little skimmers, and they're having it on the way down. It's hitting the bottom, I can feel my tip rattling with bait that's not really suitable for catching skimmers. So I'm gonna go on a pole. So we've just had the bailiff have a quick wander around and tell us that it has literally been ridiculous, the amount of skimmers that have been getting caught. So that is what we're gonna do. So I'm going that pole line, have a little look. So I've had a little bit of bait, I've not refed it again yet. So I'm going to whiz straight in and just see if there's any fish there without putting any bait in. So I want to give it the benefit of the doubt, but with how that feeder's going, they could quite easily have cleaned me out, I reckon. There could be a hell of a lot of fish eating that bait already. So I'm going to put it right on top of my bait and just see what happens. So what I've set up 2 rigs for this. In that I've set up a 4x14s that's like quite heavily shotted, because I've not got a lot of water. Flipping out, it's gone already. I've not got a lot of water. I've got, what have I got? 3.5 to 4 foot. So I've got a 4x14s that's like a soft pellet sort of rig with spread out number 9s in the bottom end, so that'll get down nice and quick if they want to be on the bottom. That's a little diddy one, that, which is great for catching the small ones fast if they're on the bottom. But I've also got a 4x12s rig with spread out number 10s. That used to be my biggest thing when I came here, fishing a 4x12s or a 4x10s even, if it was calm enough. They feed on the drop. They're really, really clever. The bigger ones, sorry, definitely feed on the drop. So later, once they start coming into my peg, if they're not there already, or if they're willing to come in at some point, then that's how I plan on catching them. What am I doing? Yeah, big pinch of corn, load of me little pellets. I'm really liking them little pellets already. They're different, like real different. They're like caviar. Loads of little tiny particles in your peg that, as long as I don't go overboard with them and get them preoccupied, they're almost not getting a mouthful. It's almost like feeding ground bait, but it's not. It's a bit more substantial. I'm going to use it just to cap off me cup every single, probably every other fish I'm going to, just to keep it fast. So that's an indication on the way in then, like they're already coming up to me bait as I've fed that. That's what I want to keep an eye on with this rig. If I get too many indications on the drop, then I'm going to swap really, really quickly. There's another one. To that lighter rig, because the stamp on here, it's incredible. By swapping rigs, your stamp can double. And although the little ones are 6 ounce, the bigger ones might be 10 ounce. When you're clattering one a minute, that can seriously do some adding up. Flappy. See, they ain't bad then. What's that? What are you going to give me, Jake? 8 ounce? So they're going to add up really quickly then. Which is a phenomenal day's fishing. Already, it's very clear there's a lot of fish on that line. And when the fish are of that stamp, yes, it's a very busy all day, but there's no reason I can't clatter out a few hundred of them, catching them fast enough. I mean, 1 a minute, 60 an hour. What's that work out to? It's at nearly 300 fish in 5 hours if I can catch 1 a minute. Is that right? Quick maths. Not even close probably, but let's pretend it is. The only thing I may have to do is bring them even shorter. So we didn't quite realise the amount of skimmers that are here to be caught now it's just phenomenal. Look, it's just in under 1 a chuck, lovely on the bottom. And what I had done is I went a little bit longer. I've gone to 13 metres, just thinking that I'd catch some big ones, like some of the big old 2 pound ones. But I just think there's that many fish in your peg, they're not going to come in. It's restaurant full of kids, isn't it? That sort of mentality. That them big ones don't want to mess with these little fish. So what I may be forced to do, or what might be the more efficient way of feeding, is to start loose feeding, just a little ball like that, just nice and short, with the odd little piece of corn over the top of it. And if I can clatter them at 5 and 6 metres instead, then I can catch them really quickly. And I'm not going to mess about with little pots. So that's what you do have to be careful of. It's all right in the winter when you're catching steadily and it's just about maintaining your peg, but feeding with a pot, it's safe and brilliant, but it's often not aggressive enough. Well, it's lovely and fast at the minute. I'm quite happy how this is going. I've been guilty of doing this loads when it comes to silverfish fishing in the winter. If a peg can be as good as this, and I'm a bugger for trying to make it better or trying to make them bigger, when in hindsight, I mean, these are ridiculous. Yeah, if I'm catching a skimmer like that every single minute, that's beyond mind-boggling territory, isn't it? The sort of weight that you can catch. And so I'm not having to feed loads of bait, I'm just feeding every other cast, which is both going to make me a little bit of bait last, but also make them be well behaved. Yeah, skimmers are brilliant on commercials for actually not needing tons and tons of bait to keep them in your peg. So if I can top this up every second or third fish, if I can get away with it, then there's no need to change things unless I feel there's a way of catching a bigger stamp. But I think with the bait that we've got, I think safe is the option today. But what a day you can have doing this. Definitely, I've come from a spell of very much patient carp fishing that I've been doing at various venues where I'm catching 10 to 15 fish a match. And this is a proper joy to be getting 10 or 15 bites every couple of minutes. It's just ridiculous. Look, it's just going all the time. You can see every cast that I feed is the erratic cast. Sort of that's when they're being a bit funny and I'm missing a bite and I'm not getting a clean bite. Yeah, that eventually went, and it's no different fish. So it's the cast that I'm feeding. Yeah, that one fell off even. That I'm having problems. So that definitely tells me that by bringing them short, disposing of the little pot and just feeding by hand, maybe after I've caught a fish and things like that, so my rig's not in the water when I'm catching one, that's really going to improve my efficiency and make me catch them a hell of a lot quicker, because I'm not fishing among bait that's falling. Because of course there'd be other options if I had different bait. I proper enjoy having a load of 4 mils now, so I could raft 4 mils in and feed after I've caught a fish. But so with pellets and corn, so micro pellets definitely aren't too handy in a catapult, and neither's corn, not for keeping it accurate. I said we've not really got enough to say nice, but definitely making things weird. So already, even though I've only been on it 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it is brilliant, don't get me wrong, I think it's time to start thinking about making a change and drag them a little bit shorter, just for 3 sections less, make it a little bit faster, and as long as the stamp are the same, then I think we can catch really, really quickly. I'm going to start even using some of these 3 mils. Just like Ireland, isn't it, Jake? Ball of chuck every fish. But I think that's the next plan I'm going to do. I'm going to catch 2 more fish long without feeding, and then I'm going to quickly change my 4x12 rig, my light rig. I'm going to plumb it up short and see if it's any different, and then I'm going to have a go on that just to see if I can be really quick, feed by hand, and potentially double my catch rate instead of shipping out long and feeding with them little pots. I say lovely for your accuracy, but not the best for speed and aggression feeding with the Alkinder pot. So catch this one, and then we'll have a change. See, that's moving all the time. There's fish all the time off the bottom, all over the place. See, and I'm just not getting a clean bite very quickly at all. I've still got bait on. I've got no bait on. Right, that's my cue. Let's have a little look if I can catch some any shorter. Dispose of that. And what I'm going to do, I've already bodged this 4x12 rig to see what happens. So we're going to get rid of the cup. There's my little plummet. Let's just check the depth of this. I think this is right. This is one I bodged up earlier just in case. I'm just going to go there where I've been loose feeding. So check that that's me. My spot. Perfect. Perfect. That's where we're going to have a little go. See if we can catch him really, really, really quickly on that line. Which I reckon today there's a very good chance it's going to be very good. I'll dot that float down a little bit. Let's have a go with that. See if I can not feed with a pot and just feed by hand. I'm going to catch very, very, very quickly. So this is even with corn as well. Corn's normally a nice selective bait when it comes to skim bobs. But for these, they're just hungry, aren't they? So I've still got these expanders. Not expanders, yeah, expanders, aren't they? My pre-done ones, I've got them if I need something a bit more durable, but I do like corn. Let me not feed this cast and see if we get a bite. Oh, right. Okay then. No, that is a skimmer, that's just foul luck. I thought that was a carp fish shook then. I think that was just a foul luck skimmer. Let me go back in again. I do think that was just a foul looker. Yes, it was. I've got a little diddy scale on my hook. Let's see, using that pylon as my marker. I'm going to feed a little ball of these, but say I'm not going to feed on top of my float. So I may chuck a little bit of corn on top of my float, but I'm not going to feed any micros. I'm only going to feed the soft pellets after I've hooked the fish, just to stop them coming off the bottom. I say these little ones are, I'd imagine once they get halfway down, even with a good squeeze, they don't often want to separate. So I'd imagine they're spreading quite a lot in the bottom half of the water as they go down, especially as I've been feeding them loose on the long line, even more so. So I'm just going to feed a little tight ball like that. As soon as I catch a fish, I'm going to follow it with a ball of micros, because there's fish here. Definitely there's fish there already. I've just got to tighten them up a bit. Let's see if I can see exactly the same stamp of fish. But if I can catch them there, it's so much easier than fannying about on that long line. Plus we're going to catch a right weight. I can see Jake kicking me off my box at any second though, to be fair, with the type of fishing. He likes a bit of skim bob bashing. Let's have a look, see if this going over the top of that ball instead of the loose fed pot. See if that makes a difference, if I get a proper bite now instead of a dodgy liner. See, how much better is that? Just with it being a bit shorter, a bit less competition, a few less fish in the bag, but it makes it better. That fell off. Like that though, that was in the mouth. Let me just try one more. I'm trying to pick out the slightly smaller pieces of corn. So I've got to not forget to feed a bit of corn every now and again as well, because I don't like my bait being the only one in the peg. I like there being a few options of what I've got on the hook, just so it doesn't get avoided. I think that's quite important, to always have some of your hook bait in the peg. Yeah, that's perfect, that, mate. I'm well happy with that. Let's give him some corn this cast. Little baby one. Oh, a little carpy. Oh, look at him. He's a pretty one, isn't he? Don't mind them. I'd be moaning if that was a roach, but we don't mind them. So I think we have found the method that we need to be incorporating to catch the most fish and the quickest. So I'm going to give an absolute kicking for an hour or two and just see what we can catch with this little bit of bait that we've got. Right, time for a catch up, and this place is a joke. Like an absolute joke how it's changed and the venue it's become now. In that there are so many, I'm not even going to call them little fish, of these fish. I mean, this sort of stamp of skimmer, it is absolutely incredible now. And it's not become a, oh, you nearly tangled my rig then, little slimy one. It's not even a case of getting bites is the tricky bit. It's being efficient. It's become that style of venue where there's so many bites to be had. It's very easy to mess it up and not ruin your peg, but make them difficult to catch. And I think if anything, that's been the key thing. I've not found that the old school Barston of light rigs and things like that don't seem as important, if anything, anymore. Just because I'm not having to pick out stamps of fish. It's just absolutely clattering them instead has definitely been the key thing. But making sure you come back with a fish every go is definitely the main sort of target, if you like, and making sure I put as many in the net as possible. And there's been a few things that have definitely made a difference in that I'm not feeding pellets all of the time anymore. Trying to chuck a ball a chuck or a ball every other chuck is definitely having a negative effect in that they just get a bit harder to catch. You know, the bites are a little bit more erratic. I want them eating corn. But what does tend to happen if I just loose feed corn, firstly, I've not got loads of it to really be aggressive with it, but it makes the bite a little bit slower because there's not as many fish in the peg, because there's not as much bait for them to eat. So what I've definitely found has been the way is to feed a really sticky hard ball of micros. That what I've done is to make sure it gets to the bottom is I've given it another big sugary jug of the Banoffee Boost, just to make it a really, really sticky ball now. So it's actually getting to the bottom. I mean, the pellets in their own form are lovely, light, airy ones. But I think because I'm throwing them, they've got a big impact. I think they're splatting a little bit on the water and they're not getting down to the bottom as neatly as I want them to. Oh, you're having a laugh. I caught a little perch on corn. He's a little perchy on corn. First one of them I've had. So yeah, a ball has definitely tightens me peg up, brings more fish into me peg. But just as it did on the pole line, that cast can make it go a little bit funny. So say I'm probably doing it every 5 fish now. I'm giving it a bigger ball, what's that, half a golf ball sort of size thing. Every probably 5 fish, or when it goes a little bit quieter. And in between that, I'm just loose feeding corn randomly, probably every other, oh, no, probably every chuck. I'm giving them 5 to 10 pieces of corn. Nice and slow with him. And it's meaning that all my bites are, I'm being efficient. You know what I mean? I'm not striking at the little indications. I'm laying it in, waiting for a positive indication that I'm getting very, 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 very quickly. And in turn, it's resulting in a skimmer hooked right in the top of the middle lip every single go. So kit-wise, all I've done is put a bigger hook on. I've swapped to a size 14 MXC 1, so proper hook, not messing about. I'm picking a decent sized bits of corn out just to try and get a few bigger fish. And the only thing I might change, say I'm on a solid elastic at the minute, number 8. I think it's right to be nice. The only thing I could do is go even heavier to like a 10 to 12 slick, a proper swing everything and just be carnage. See, that's what I don't want to do, is miss bites like that. Although I'm blaming that on a big piece of corn I've just put on that cast. So I've got to remember they are little fish. The bait's probably not perfect for clattering them. I'll be better with micros and some worms, or micros and some maggots maybe, although I am liking the properties of the corn going straight down, and do you know what I mean? It's giving me a bite. Whereas if I fed maggots, then maybe they'd want to come up a lot more and I'd be forced to feed a lot more balls of pellets and things. So the corn is definitely good. Whether it alters the stamp or not, I don't know. They just seem to be peas in a pod. Every single one just seems to be that, which, what's he? He's 7 ounce, isn't he? If not 8. Yeah, he's got to be 6 to 8 ounce. He's got to be. And we are catching, I reckon we're catching 2 a minute. So I'll take that any day of the week. For a day silver fishing, that is beyond a joke. And we've got half the bait left. I mean, we probably had 2 hours fishing now, including half an hour on the feeder. And we've still got half the bait left, just because I'm not having to feed too much bait too often. So what I'm going to do this cast, just to keep him in my peg, I'm just going to make a fresh ball, nice sticky, and I'm going to chuck that right on top of my float after I've hooked the fish. And that'll give it time to get to the bottom, break down, get some fish in my peg while I'm fannying about, playing my fish, landing it. And it should just prevent the liners and the dodgy, erratic bites happening. So this cast is the one to feed on. So it's gone a little bit quieter, this cast. Took a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait for a bite, which we should get, unless a big carpy's coming to me peg. Just going to lay that in again. Don't know if something hiding me bait or something there then. I've got my ball ready to go. As soon as I've hooked one, oh, I knew I was going to miss that wally head. I'm proper squeezing that so it gets right to the bottom. So I've had a little test with these micros in the edge, the tiny, the 1 millers. And it doesn't seem, within reason, as long as I don't absolutely pulverise them into a sloppy paste, then no matter how hard I squeeze them sensibly, they're all breaking down into little pieces, which means I can give them a good welly in the knowledge that it's still going to be individual pellets very, very quickly as well. So they are breaking up within a minute. They're all individual pellets all over the bottom. So it's just me not feeding that. I was trying to be patient just with the cameras being on, and just hold back on the feeding. Yeah, we've hooked on eventually there, so straight in with the ball, right where we've just hooked that one from. And they'll bring it in. That they want some bait so quickly. I was just trying not to be quite as aggressive then with the cameras being on. But I should have chucked that 3 minutes earlier, or the cast before even. So they should have been on. Same again. Everyone right in the middle of the bop lip. I could probably get away with swinging these, but I'll be gentle. We'll net them all. So yeah, heavier elastic, I could probably swing a few and just be a little bit faster, but I'm always worried me about swinging that size of fish as they ping off. It's dead rig in it quite often. So let's just see, hopefully that ball should have just tightened them up a bit. give him some corn over the top as well. See, how much better is that? Straight in on me peg. Is that a different fish or just another skimmer? They're just eating. And that's been the definite pattern all day, is that you put the bait in and they come and eat it. Yeah, they're not messing about. Obviously I can feed too regular, which is why I've had to hang fire a little bit with chucking them balls in. But that was noticeable in that it were what? Probably 20 seconds faster, but I mean, that added up over 100 fish, and all of a sudden you're putting another 10 or 15 fish in your net just through feeding at the right time. I believe we're catching a skimmer every chuck on a big piece of corn. I've even got snot on my line that time. I'm going to be lazy and not even change it. That's how good it is. Where am I? I'm going to go in here. Let me get just half a dozen pieces of corn every go. You just see, hopefully, how quick that ball just tightens everything up, and all of a sudden I'm putting fish in the net really quick again. Apart from missing that one. So I'd love to come and have a play with all sorts of baits just to see how fast you could be. I think with the amount of fish in here now, you could be so quick with maybe a banded 4mm or maggots potentially. Definitely maggots on the hook. You could just be, look, it's just one every single chuck. Caught that cast. I dread to think what you could catch. I honestly believe that 100 pounds doable in 5 hours fishing like that. So they're all up to everyone, bang on. They just ain't coming off when the fish are feeding that nice. And you've got a nice big hook bait that's showing up on your float, so you know what the positive bites are. It's just everything's so quick and easy because you lose so few fish. Because you know you're hooking them in the right place because they're eating. Like this cast, I'm going to feed again. So I'm going to catch fish, hopefully really quick, and feed again just to keep them on the bottom. And I definitely feel now I'm at with the bait I've got and how it is, I'm at that efficient point where everything's happening as well as it possibly can. I mean, the only thing that could change is I catch some bigger fish, but there's too many. You know, there's no need to try and catch the elusive 2-pounder because I'm not going to clatter them and catch a big weight of them, whereas these, I really can catch a massive, massive, massive big weight of these. So I'm dying to see what's actually in this keep net just after a couple of hours fishing. It'll be really interesting how quick we've put a weight together, if we have. And as I said, still with 2/3 of my bait left. But the only thing I'm going to run out with today is corn. That's going to be the first thing that goes, I think. But yeah, I probably used a 5's worth of bait to catch a ridiculous weight of skimmers. See, that ball's just gone in, and that was a proper bite then. I think that was just me missing it. It wasn't a dodgy indication. See, it's been weird as well. We've caught lots of little pretty carp short as well. Didn't really catch any of them long. But since coming on this shorter line, there's been quite a few of these little gorgeous carp that Nigel's bred and stuck in. A pretty little ghosty. Look at that, that's going a bit weird. Let's just leave that, just stop feeding for a minute. It's gone a bit daft. So one thing with corn, it makes it sinks fast, but it makes a big old noise, so they're in on it quick. And with these in piranha mode, they definitely are. So you've just gone a bit daft. I'm just going to hang fire and not feed anything, let them calm down and get back into that routine, hopefully. See, I even think the scope to bring these even closer, like potentially catching them top kitten 2. I think on other pegs on here we had a bit of depth, maybe in them 50s and 60s. You might be able to catch them on like top 4 or something, they might come that close. Oh, the volume of fish that must be in this lake now is absolutely terrifying. That's just gone crappy, hasn't it? For like 4 casts then. Let's just feed some corn over the top. See, they like come up. Is it me making too much noise? Another really hard ball that's better. Maybe it was different fish. I've caught a couple of little F1s. It could be that they're coming in the peg and just go a little bit funny. Is this little F1? No, it's another skin bob. But I will say it's by far the most enjoyable silver fishy session I've had for I don't know how long. It's phenomenal. Absolutely fun. I don't think I've ever experienced skimmer fishing like this in my life. There's that many. They're all too big then. Pick a little piece of corn out just so they can fit it in the mouths a bit quicker. So yes, we're going to carry on, give it another half hour, 20 minutes or so, and just see exactly what we can catch. Hopefully finish with a nice random bonus to turn off. That would be the icing on the cake if it could. So after a lovely probably 3 hours fishing, I reckon we've had 40-pounder skimmers, and that's not even doing the right thing with potential different baits or whatever else, but still, it's been lovely to see. So the efficiency side of things instead, I mean, not have to worry about actually getting bites, but having to worry about getting the right bites, making sure you get a bite and come back with a fish. So it's been really, really interesting, and just almost goes to show how versatile like non-basic baits are. Do you know what I mean? Just simple micro pellets, in feeding them in different ways, different times, in different forms, or by adding certain things to make them be a little bit different. They're very, very lively today. It can make a massive difference to your session. So it's been an absolute pleasure to be here at Barston, and what a venue it is. It's just, I've never seen skimmer fish like that in my life. It is absolutely unbelievable. So hopefully, it's just been a nice fishing sort of video, not too technical. So it's just all about keeping things simple and catching lots and lots of fish. So hopefully if you've enjoyed that one, feel free to like and subscribe on the Sonubaits YouTube channel, and we will bring you lots and lots more of fish catching antics.